Pastor Tommy here with your weekly update, sermon teaser, and for the most part today, an encouragement. And what is the encouragement I have for you? Well, if you were following the news, you'd probably noticed that yesterday, I believe it was, might have been a day earlier, Governor Inslee paused the reopening of Washington State at least until July 28th and re-emphasized things like wearing a mask and the mask mandate. What I want to talk to you about today a little bit is wearing a mask. Now, to just qualify things, those of you who know me, most of you do, I'm assuming if you watch this, know that probably the worst way to get me to do something is to order me to do it. In other words, you can ask my wife, if someone says, Tommy, you have to do it, you almost guarantee that I won't do it, or at least I'll push back and fight about it. And on top of that, so when the governor says, Tommy, you have to wear a mask, my first reaction is, oh, don't tell me what to do. I have enough trouble following God's commands, let alone Inslee's commands. Number one. Number two, when you think about masks, no doubt there has been an incredible amount of inconsistent information, right? You don't have to be a rocket scientist or a pastor to have noticed that, right? When the virus started, we were told that you shouldn't wear masks, and now we're told we are wearing masks. And so it's very confusing. And so take it from me. So, when we started doing these updates and things, Samuel sort of chose the theme, and he said, my theme is going to be young outdoorsy pastor for his updates. And I guess that left me with sort of old, cranky, cooped up pastor. And so I'll take that. So what does your old cranky cooped up pastor have to say to you about wearing masks? Why do I wear a mask? It's interesting, by the way, that I am actually exempt from wearing masks, right? One of the exemptions is hearing impairment. So if I wanted to, I could go anywhere I wanted to, and I could just pull my hearing aids and show people, see, I don't need to wear a mask. Now I think it's sort of foolish because it doesn't help me at all, but I don't have to if I don't want to, but I always do. Why? Well, there's four reasons. I got these four reasons. I've thought of them all, but I got them. They're put together very well in a Gospel Coalition article by a guy named Brent McCracken. And so the first reason why I think it's important that we as Christians be wearing masks is just simply love of neighbor, right? So, what I've noticed is that COVID has become smothered in politics. It's just everything is political, and all of this information is sort of contradictory. And so what people do, what I do, is you say, I agree with that guy, so that's what I think is right. And so that's what I think I'm going to do. And so if I think I don't want to wear a mask, and I found someone who says wearing a mask is you don't need to, then that's what I believe now. The question you have to ask yourself is, what if you're wrong? Right? I ask myself that question all the time. What if I'm wrong? What if I'm wrong about this? I have strong opinions about everything, but there's always a chance that I'm wrong. What if I'm wrong about my rebellious nature and not wanting to wear a mask? What if it actually could help spread the disease to someone who's vulnerable and someone might die? Right? Am I willing to take that chance? For me, I'm going to wear a mask because I want to love my neighbor. At least I want to try. The second thing is because the government has asked us to, right? The Bible's very clear that we ought to be respecting the government authorities, right? It's part of our witness to Christ. And the question you have to ask yourself is, are you first and foremost a citizen of heaven, or first and foremost a citizen of the United States, right? If you're a Christian, the answer is very simple. You're a citizen of heaven, and citizens of heaven, Christians, are told over and over again to submit themselves to governing authorities. Now, are there times when we buck the governing authorities? Absolutely. When they say we can't preach the gospel, when they say we can't do, but they're not saying that. What they're saying is wear a mask when you go out in public. I don't like it, right? If you haven't heard me yet, I don't like wearing a mask. I don't want to wear a mask, but I do because it's part of my Christian witness, because the governor said wear a mask. The third thing is basically to honor those who are weak in our midst. I'm constantly surprised, honestly, by people who are very afraid, and yet some people are very afraid. Now, part of me is I'm just not a fearful person generally. Part of me is like, well, if the gospel's true, we shouldn't be fearful. But other people aren't wired like me. And so for them, they are more fearful sometimes. And I need to actually take that into account as let's assume I'm right and I'm the stronger brother, which is dubious, right? Let's assume I'm right, though. That we're never in the gospel called to utilize the fact that we're the stronger brother or sister and to utilize our freedom to become a stumbling block for those who are weaker. So just keep that in mind. But the last reason, the primary reason why I am okay with wearing a mask, even though I'm exempt, is evangelism. What do I mean by that? Right? We live in the middle of a state where a lot of people think that you ought to be wearing masks. And if you don't wear a mask, you're like, you don't care about them, you don't care about people, you don't care about anything. And so imagine me, I'm exempt, but people don't know that. Imagine if I go walking through Fred Meyer today and I'm not wearing a mask and people notice me. They can actually see my face, right? One of the nice things about wearing a mask, people don't know who I am. And so, but I walk through the store, they see my face, and then a couple months from now, I hope a couple months from now, this whole virus sort of ends and we meet together in church and they get invited here and they look up and there's that pastor who refused to wear a mask. He didn't care about me. You see, a lot of what we do, we give up our freedoms for the sake of winning people. Ask yourself that. Are you willing to give up your freedom from wearing a mask? What might be inconvenient, it might feel stupid, it might not even look good. Mine does, I think. Are you willing to give up your freedoms so that someone else might possibly come to Christ? You know, here's my fear about COVID as it pertains to the church. I saw an interview with a doctor and Bill Maher, and the doctor basically said, here's the bottom line on this virus. What this virus does is it simply accelerates that which is chronic, right? And he said, so if you have diabetes and you catch the COVID virus, there's a chance it's going to accelerate whatever would have happened to you over the course of several years. Same with lung diseases and things like that. And it got me thinking, I wonder if COVID also accelerates our sinful propensities, right? If we have a tendency toward pridefulness, has it made us prideful, the issue of masks? If we have a propensity towards rebelliousness, has it accelerated that? Has it accelerated the fact that we really are not particularly concerned with seeing people come to Christ? And it's just now what all that matters is I get to exercise my right as an American as I see fit. Personally, I think that's bogus. For me, I will wear a mask even though I don't like it, and even though I'm not even certain it's effective, because at the end of the day, what if I'm wrong? On the flip side, positively speaking, what if wearing a mask, if there's any chance of wearing a mask actually was able to bring this virus to an end quicker? Would you do it? You see, my experience is the same people that complain about wearing masks are the same people that complain about not being able to go to church and not being able to do all these other things. So I would encourage you, please, for the love of the gospel, wear a mask. Now, as far as this weekend and the sermon, I couldn't be more excited. So we're starting this new sermon series on the whole Bible, and we are doing chapter 1, which is Psalm 19 and Hebrews 1, and I'll be referring to chapter 1 in the Jesus Study Bible about really what I'm going to talk about this weekend is what the whole Bible is about. It's a great series to invite people to. So I'm looking forward to seeing you, and I will look forward to preaching, talking to you, knowing that you'll probably be at home and you won't have to wear a mask, and so you'll be happy. Think about that. Have a good week.